to introduce our speaker today. So actually, I met her and I taught her in 2016 when I was first here in CUHK. At that time, I saw her growing up from a young talent in interpreting, and today she has become a well-acknowledged entrepreneur and also interpreter in this industry of translation and interpreting. Today, we are going to invite her to give us one talk and sharing some of her experience in doing translation and interpreting in this industry. Just like I said, she's so well acknowledged, and actually she's one of the founders for one company named Transing Translations in Hong Kong. She actually runs a team of professional translators and interpreter doing on-site and remote translation and interpreting for over 30 languages. So I believe today our audience, including our teachers and students, could learn a lot from her. So without further ado, please join me to give her a round of warm applause and welcome her to give us a talk today.
Thank you, Professor Wei. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, professors and fellow students. I'm excited to be here. It would be a thrill for anyone to be invited to speak at the CUHK, but it's especially gratifying for me. CUHK has long been my favorite university. I met many smart and creative people when I studied here 6 years ago. And in the translation department, I got the chance to meet with supportive professors and classmates, and even my current business partner. I have always loved communicating with people, so I suppose it's nature that I became an interpreter and started translation and then business management together. I have worked in a variety of roles, which I have learned a lot from. And in 2017, I started a translation company called Transing Translations with my partner. After running it for nearly 6 years, in the meantime, cooperating with active interpreters and experienced translators, growing up with multiple challenges, I get to know more and deeper about the translation industry and market. In today's talk, can I share the PPT? And there's one in the way. Okay, thank you, Andy. Okay, perfect. Okay, in today's talk, first, I would like to. Okay. In today's talk, first, I would like to give a brief introduction to Transing Translations, and then share a few thoughts on recent market trends in written translation and interpretation across different business sectors with several case studies. Next, I will show you our daily workflows. And last, I will propose a few tips to fellow students who would like to pursue a career in translation and interpretation industry after graduation. About Transing. Born out of the idea that translation matters, Transing has been providing language services across different regions of the world, especially APAC. We serve regional and international clients by handling all kinds of language-related tasks, including document translation, conference interpretation, marketing transcreation, and website localization for over 30 languages. Our value and mission can be summarized in 4 sentences. First, we are a communication facilitator driven by language expertise and passion. We offer trans-inbound services featured innovation, dedication, coordination, and devotion. We pursue forward-looking partnerships with organizations, growing businesses, and international enterprises. We aim to fill the gap between cultures and to lead a competitive language service team. Next, I would like to introduce our business scope. Our business scope mainly includes simultaneous interpretation, document translation, native transcreation, audio and video translation, certified translation, website localization, conference stenography, and conference interpretation. For interpretation, our original focus was on traditional interpretation service, including SI, CI, trade show interpreting, whispering interpreting, and so on before 2020. But since the COVID-19 changed the world, we have shifted our strategies to a remote interpretation and built a remote hub in our office to deliver stable and high-quality interpreting services. And in our business scope, particularly worth mentioning is native transcreation. Transcreation, a word that emerges from combining translation and creation. For several years now, creating personalized user experiences has been one of the biggest trends on the rise across industries, and it's becoming more and more common in our daily localization practice. Transcreation is to preserve the intensity of the original information by distilling it into new text. Rather than simply translate the words, we interpret, rewrite, or recreate the text to the target audience in the language and the words that resonate with them. We do not merely stay faithful to the form of words, but to its essence. This approach allows companies to localize their content for new audience. Additionally, it helps in adapting the idea to a new culture's viewpoint to better engage with its target audience. So I suppose the demand for transcreation service will continue to rise. We built a network of language professionals, including full-time translators, freelancers, professional editors, copywriters, stenographers, bilingual lawyers worldwide. Currently, our business includes 34 different languages, and the number of signed contracts with language professionals reached over 400. As our main business mode is B2B, which is business to business, so most of our clients are companies or organizations. It's crucial for us to maintain long-term relationship with the clients. What we have achieved in 2022, last year, is that 8 out of 10 clients who have used our service once chose to enter into a framework contract or retainer contract with us. While we care a lot about the growth of our business, we care more about developing people. In the coming years, we will invest more in our team members, both full-time employees and contract freelancers. Okay, let's move to our major clients. This slide shows some of our major clients in the past 5 years. Right now, the China Import and Export Fair in Guangzhou is being held, and many junior colleagues of us are there now taking the booth interpreting tasks. After the COVID-19 pandemic, the exhibition interpreting is of high demand since this March, both in Hong Kong and Chinese mainland. If our students are ready to try our skills out, it would be a good opportunity to get some field practice and interpreting exposure in the trade shows and fairs in Hong Kong and elsewhere. Next, I would like to talk about some popular sectors in written translation. First is the most popular one in Hong Kong, which is financial translation. The finance sector is heavily influenced by globalization, Banks and insurance companies in Hong Kong are active in international markets. The global private capital investors are looking for profitable investment opportunities in the transatlantic or Far Eastern stock exchanges. Financial service providers and credit institutions face clients and investors from different markets every day. For this reason, translations of financial statements, yearly reports, balance sheets, product information, and stock exchange information require highly professional, accurate, and appealing preparations by the dedicated translators. Right now, it's halfway into our peak seasons for financial translations this year. Speed and accuracy are important in financial translation tasks. Transing is capable and ready to deliver the translation of IPOs, announcements, circulars, prospectus, market commentary, and other financial documents against the tight schedules. We are familiar with the jargon and has an eye for detail. The second one is legal translation, which is also very popular in Hong Kong. Legal translation is when any legal documents, files, or recordings get translated from the source language to a target language. Some of the most common items we translated are marriage, death, or birth certificates for immigration or employment needs. From my perspective of view, the most important role in legal translation is to respect the original meaning, since these documents will be used for court judgments, rulings, and other legal purposes. Besides text translation, it may also include transcription and translation of audio or video files, such as recordings of hearings, CCTV footage, and etc. Number 3 is medical translation. Medical translation is a practice of translating various documents such as training materials, medical bulletins, drug data sheets, etc. for healthcare, medical devices, marketing, or for clinical, regulatory, or technical documentation. Most countries require that companies and organizations translate literature and labeling for medical devices or pharmaceuticals into their national language. Documents for clinical trials often require translation for local clinicians, patients, and regulatory representatives. Regulatory approval submissions typically must be translated. In addition to linguistic skills, medical translation requires specific training and subject matter knowledge because of the highly technical, sensitive, and regulated nature of medical tests. We are serving an increasing number of medical equipment and service companies, including proton therapy, neurosurgery, etc., for their document translation and frequent online communication with their foreign partners, suppliers, cooperating hospitals, and organizations because of the travel difficulty during the past 3 years. From my point of view, I suppose when everything gets back to normal after the pandemic, telehealth will still stay. Number 4 is technical translation. Technical translation is a type of specialized translation involving the translation of documents produced by technical writers, like owner's manuals, user guides, or more specifically, texts which related to technological subject areas or texts which deal with the practical application of scientific and technological information. Some examples of technology translation, including installation and service manuals, safety manuals, software and hardware UI, etc. Technical terms may be the pain points of some companies, but with the help of software and the expertise in language, we are able to deliver qualified work in different languages. Number 5 is marketing translation. While our clients create and shape original ideas that inspire audience and spark conversations, we back the client with our local insight and culture sensitivity. with wording carefully polished by our linguists and experts of the target market. When translating brochures, videos, and stories of the company, we deliver engaging, locally relevant content that connects with any audience in any language. By carefully handling the translation task, we aim to bring the brand voice to life. Number 6 is the culture and tourism translation. I always believed that the best way to know a place is to travel there. Tourists usually first learn about their another distant place by websites, leaflets, or posts on social platforms. For the official organizations of the government to culture associations, tourist agencies, the translation of the culture and the tourism materials is day-to-day necessary to make the beautiful scenery and the charm of local customs and cuisine known to wider audience around the globe. The inclusive approach for museum and exhibition halls to handle translation is to get all maps, audio guides, wall texts, exhibit labels, official websites, the visitor guide, or even apps translated to truly engage their audience. We are familiar with the strategies and the methods for the translation of such cultural projects and will be responsible for all final words presented directly to the audience. Diversity and inclusion are equally important in these cases. Number 7 is subtitle translation. Almost all film directors Transing has worked with share their concern that some delicate moments in their films may fail to get through to the audience because of the straightforward or careless wording in translated subtitles. To achieve the best result possible, the language service providers should work hard on the pre-translation and post-translation process of the film subtitles. And that's what we do. According to Forbes, the market for online video services may reach USD 325 billion in 2025. This means there's a great opportunity for organizations to tailor their content to reach different audiences. Certainly, video translation and subtitling will play a key role in doing so. Today, it's common to find online courses or materials only available in English. This automatically narrows their potential audience. Recent past years have seen a rise in the need for video translators and subtitlers, and this translation industry trend is sure to continue. And the last one I would like to mention is the game translation. With the diversification of online games in past years, Transing have noticed the exponential growth in clients' demand for transcript translation, user interface localization, voice-over recording, and the culturalization of computer and mobile games. By making sure the languages and cultural elements of the game are entirely adapted to suit the habit of users in the target market, we help game publishers to enhance their global reach. Hopefully, we will see the game localized by us celebrated by players all over the world soon. Next, let's take a look at several case studies. The first one of our clients is a cultural company in Hong Kong, focusing on film investment, production, and distribution. And we helped with the translation and proofreading of film subtitles. While we are translating the scripts of Deliverance, the Chinese name is Yuan Sheng Zui, putting much emphasis to this film, our client got us translators directly communicating with the film director to come up with the most appropriate subtitles. While distributing the film, the client also takes the film to multiple film festivals around the world. To touch their audience and precisely express the emotions, without doubt, we need a group of professional linguistics to translate the lines into the target language. and an experienced project manager to coordinate between the film director and the translators, who are both keenest on the wording and the messages delivered. And what we do in the process are carefully translation of the subtitle from traditional Chinese to English and Spanish by our dedicated subtitle translation team. Second is the polishment of the language tone based on the feedback from the directors of the films. Then the further translation from English to other languages and follow-up for proofreading. The second case is about a US-based private bank with branch in Hong Kong targeting Chinese-speaking clients. The bank hired us on a retainer basis as it needs to translate the weekly newsletter, insights, articles, comments, introduction of their financial products, quarterly and annual summary from English to Chinese, both simplified and traditional, to get potential and existing Chinese-speaking customers familiar with and impressed by their services. What we do in the process is to translate the articles and text from English to simplified and traditional Chinese, and build a database for translated works and terminology management. In the third case, our clients are provincial culture and tourism bureaus in China. The project requirement is to handle monthly updates of websites and publications, and to provide convenience and attract more overseas tourists. The government tourism bureau is regularly updating their websites and brochures to introduce and tell the stories of those fascinating sites. They need an agency to help with not only translating the words, but also sending the greetings and welcome through those articles in the language of the target audience, which are people all over the world. As the opening up of China progresses, more on-site events will be needing translation and interpretation support as well. We have handled multiple language pairs in this challenging project of translating the brochures introducing Zhejiang and Jiangsu province with gorgeous nature scenery and remarkable culture. When localizing such printed materials, it is critically important to incorporate the social culture aspects and to make sure that the translation delivers the intended message and the impact is not lost. The language pairs are English, Korean, Japanese, French, German, Spanish, and etc. And we also help with the final proofreading of the publications, mobile apps interface, and a web page display. The fourth case is about legal translation. One of our clients is a law firm in Hong Kong, and the project requires certified translation service for the court. Languages involved are mainly English, Mandarin, and Cantonese. To give an example, the law firm is handling a case in which one of the parties concerned is from Chinese mainland. The statements are written in simplified Chinese, but all the documents need to be translated into English before submitting to the court for further review. Such cases usually take a long time to receive the final judgment, and the law firm needs to partner with a consistent translation agency throughout the entire process. All relevant documents during the process should be given certification of accuracy by our certified translators. What we do in the process are to translate a series of written statements from Chinese to English and vice versa, and to certify the documents to prove the translation matches the original texts, and also the terminology management to keep consistency. Number 5 is a case about an engineering, building, and construction company. The project requires technical document translation, tender translation, legal contract proofreading, and sometimes conference interpreting. Transing's dedicated translators and interpreters work for building and construction company's Hong Kong branch and help it establishing a joint venture with a top-notch German company in Hong Kong. This is an exciting and long journey. At the very beginning, the client needs professional interpreters to help communicate with business terms and technical details when the two companies were working some global projects together. Later, as things went well, they decided to establish a joint venture in Hong Kong to serve more potential clients while giving fullest play to the advantages and the resources of both. Along with the regular online and face-to-face interpretation for their management meetings, they also need to translate a bundle of documents, including articles of associations, business contracts, and the brochures of the new company, and many other materials into various languages. What we do in the process are to provide professional interpreting services regularly for online and face-to-face technical and business meetings, and to work with the client's lawyer to translate and modify the business contract, and also to translate the client's tenders, pitching decks, websites, brochures, and the proposals to the language of the target market. The last case would be about game translation. As I mentioned before, with the diversification of online games in past years, Transing has noticed the exponential growth in clients' demands for computer and mobile games translation. Some of our clients are game publishers. The projects we worked on are always about game localization and globalization. What we do are to translate game scripts and to translate the user face and to translate the voiceover recording, etc. Next, let's move on to our daily workflow for written translation. A combination of language skills and expertise in the field often brings out the best results. Here, I would like to share with you what to expect before the client receiving the satisfactory translation. Step 1 is communicating with the client by our account manager, and he or she will do the document check and then transfer the project to our dedicated project manager. Step 2, the project manager will confirm language pairs, industries, special tone, and requirements. Also do the project planning and preparation using CAT tools. Then, assigned translators and editors will do the document translation and editing within required timelines. Step 4, the target file formatting and the desktop publishing. Step 5 is to proofread the target file, and then the DTP specialists will do the QA. Next, after the project manager's final confirmation, the target file will be sent to the AM account manager, and later the client within the required turnaround time. After the delivery, sometimes we will receive comments or markups. In that case, we will do feedback-based follow-up. By following such standard workflows, Transing guarantees translation quality and makes sure that materials are translated to clients' satisfaction. An experienced project manager is able to evaluate the complexity of the tests by physically looking at the documents. There are 3 key points during the whole process here I would like to explain. First is QC, which means quality assurance or quality control. 4 key indicators are defined for high quality translation in our workflow for translation works, which are original meaning delivered, appropriately worded, free from error, and internally consistent. We strictly follow the steps of chunk check in hard copy, expression assessment by native speakers, and formal check by final eye specialists to ensure reliable and high quality delivery across all versions. Also, we sometimes value subjective judgments from the clients to fulfill practical needs and requirements. The second one is that we also pay much attention to the use of technology in translation. It turns out to be a wise choice to improve efficiency in translation, especially for our clients in advertising, finance, construction industries, etc., with similar reports to be presented regularly to their foreign counterparties. We are familiar with implementing CAT tools in our workflows by building TEM and a well-organized database. Even during peak seasons when workload increases, transit team can always fulfill the duties under the time and quality and quantity constraints. Number 3 is desktop publishing, which called DTP services. DTP services are used to create digital media such as web pages, downloadable information sheets, brochures, and other PDF documents or slides. Printed pieces such as flyers, handouts, forms, and other hard copy materials are also formatted for printing using DTP software, design and layout services. To put it simple, the client can rely on us for the typesetting of materials after the translation work is confirmed. If you ask what sets us apart from other language service providers, I would say that our commitment to quality is a key factor. In addition to quality, speed is another main advantage we have over our competitors in the translation business. Next, I would like to introduce some interpretation experience of mine. Interpretation can be roughly classified into traditional on-site interpretation and remote interpretation. Nowadays, events and meeting organizers worldwide have been trying out new and creative ways to take their gatherings online and embrace changes and adaptations like never before. For this part, we offer remote simultaneous interpreting called RSI, which has become standard practice in the international or multinational online conferencing, popular for its ability to help drive inclusivity and cross-cultural understanding by connecting audience in their own languages. Apart from this, traditional on-site simultaneous interpreting for press conferences, consecutive interpreting for business meetings, liaison interpreting for trade shows and tours, and all other types of interpreting all lie within our service scope. In the post-pandemic era, transit team has helped clients from various industries to successfully and effectively communicate with their counterparts through video remote interpreting, which is called VRI, in all kinds of events, formats, and platforms. In addition to providing qualified interpreters in different language pairs with outstanding interpreting skills, constructive personality, and ethic code, we can also help with the equipment needed: stenography, live broadcasting, live broadcasting subtitling, video editing afterwards, and many other specific needs for all kinds of events and meetings. With many of our day-to-day activities, from work, school, and even things like going to a doctor, shifting to a mostly remote content, video remote interpreting is surely here to stay. The future of translation technology is both here and just starting. It's only a matter of seeing where else it will take us in 2023 and beyond. Let's see some case studies now. In the first case, some of our clients are PR companies in Hong Kong. They will hold regular events such as annual results announcements for listed companies, press conferences with required SI equipment rental and simultaneous interpreting services. The venues are always in Hong Kong, Shenzhen, or Guangzhou. The form are on-site and online, the combined mode. These pictures in the slide shows a case when a PR client needs to live broadcast the annual results announcements bilingually of a well-known listed company in Hong Kong. During the post-pandemic era, there are only a few C-suite executives on site, and most of the concerned parties will be joining the session online. The figure and achievements are announced in Mandarin and simultaneously interpreted into English. The audio feeds, either the original sound or the translated audio, are required for on-site, online platform, and teleconferencing participants. Usually, this type of event is fast-paced and concise. What we do in the process here are providing simultaneous interpreting equipment rental, such as SI booth, interpreters consoles, radiators, audio expander, headsets, and receivers. Also, the on-site technician support and the experienced English to Mandarin simultaneous interpreters, of course. Interpretation with proper tone and careful wording are needed for clear, comprehensive, and targeted correspondence, which is essential to keep international enterprises running smoothly. Transing is professional and skilled in handling PR language needs, such as press releases, press reviews, and presentations. In the second case study, we helped with a large operator of culture and sports assets. One of our clients is organizing large-scale international football matches participated by top teams and famous stars in several stopovers, such as Shenzhen and Macau. To make sure the local and international press receives the information precisely and the interaction of fans can be performed smoothly, they need simultaneous interpreting in 4 different languages for official press conferences and liaison interpreters to cooperate and help with the activities. What we do here is to provide 3 SI booths and relevant equipment for relay interpreting involving 4 languages in total, and to provide experienced SI interpreters for Mandarin, English, French, Italian relay interpreting during press conferences. Also, the interpreters for journalist interview and other activities participated by the football stars. In case 3, the client type is the science park startup hubs in the Greater Bay Area. And the event we helped with called GBA Innovation Summit, it was held in Hong Kong annually since 2021. The venue is in Hong Kong and the form is on-site and online. One of our clients is a cluster for technology startups and entrepreneurs in Hong Kong. Innovation is encouraged and the latest insights are shared in our client's GBA Innovation Summit. As an event integrating on-site and online forms, as well as live broadcasting, which is quite common nowadays, especially since 2020, it plans to carry out multiple sessions, which include over a dozen keynote speeches and panel discussions in both English and Chinese, with simultaneous interpreting and immediate subtitles provided online and on-site. It's the best time for us to combine the power of technology and the efforts of dedicated human interpreters and stenographers so as to help our clients present a perfect top-notch event. What we do for the events are providing simultaneous interpreters with expertise in science and technology, and to provide fast and accurate stenography services in both Chinese and English, and instant online subtitling service for global broadcasting, written translation and proofreading of newsletters for the event in multiple languages afterwards. Okay, now let's move on to several tips I would like to suggest for our fellow students who would like to start your career in translation and the interpretation industry after graduation. If you would like to start your career in written translation, many in-house translators I met in Hong Kong started their translation journey as a full-time financial translator at the very beginning. Financial translation industry in Hong Kong is very mature with a clear professional standard. And as far as I know, it welcomes fresh graduates from language or translation major. If you would like to start your career as a financial translator in Hong Kong, there are several companies that you may consider applying to, like Topan Vantage, Ethical Financial Press, and REF Financial Press, Alpha Financial Press, and IFN Financial Press. We call these kinds of companies printer. You will have hands-on experience in translating announcements, circulars, prospectus, corporate reports, financial statements. And also you can go to the website of Hong Kong Exchange and Clearing Limited to check the published bilingual translations as your reference. But if you want to start as a legal translator in Hong Kong, I would say many foreign capital law firms in Hong Kong have their own in-house translation team. It may not be easy to get in, but if you have sufficient language skills in legal translation, you can give it a go and then receive systematic field training there. It would be a nice start of your career. Next one is a website that you can take as a reference for legal glossary. And if you would like to start as a freelance translator, I got a website named proz.com that you can register and find some freelance job there. Also, you can email your cover letter and resume to Transing at hr@transinghk.com. As very few translation agency or multinational companies will hire fresh graduates as their full-time interpreting employees, it's not easy for a fresh graduate to find the right position if he or she wants to be an in-house interpreter right after coming out of university. I would like to suggest you to get well prepared when in school. First, professional certificates such as CUHK or NATI certifications would definitely be an advantage. Second, experience is much valued so that your resume is very important. You can try to get interpreting experiences as much as you can and put it onto your resume. Luckily, here in Hong Kong, there are many trade shows, exhibitions, fairs happening almost every day. You may find opportunities there to be an intern interpreter and have field practices when you are a student. I suggest you to be proactive in finding all kinds of interpreting exposures, no matter on-site or online, and then put that experience onto your resume. Number 3 is to polish your resume. Kindly note that there is no page limit to an interpreter's CV. We often find that the experienced interpreters will have a CV of 30 pages or 50 pages, and it's very common. In the meantime, please be reminded that you should arrange your working experience by different sectors, like banking and finance, or legal, or fashion. So just arrange it on your resume. Apart from the CATI or NATI certificates, you can also be a certified member of organizations such as AISC or several remote SI platforms. It would be an advantage. Like you can be a certified interpreter by Kudo or Interpretify. Always give it a go. Maybe next time I can share with you how to polish your CVs to gain more interpreting exposure in the market. But if you say you do not want to be a translator or interpreter in future, what should I do? I think you can also start your career as a project management professional. As I mentioned in our daily workflow, apart from the translation or proofreading step, there are still other steps that need to involve language professionals, such as the K role, project manager. You can also choose to join the industry as a translation project coordinator or a project manager. Many translation agencies have entry-level positions for fresh graduates, but you have to be proficient in operating CAT tools such as SDL Trados. And you should be open to learn all CAT tools depending on your company needs, such as WordFast, Trados, Pasolo, IDM, and MemoQ, or in all online tools like MemoSource, GTT, etc. Second, a PMP certification would be an advantage. Third, you need to be a good time planner and have excellent communication skills. I think it is absolutely important to find your passion, and I encourage young students to try on different hats, to do internships, to work, to talk to people who are doing things that are relevant to your interests. Next one, I would like to bring out an open discussion, which is AI, ChatGPT, and translation. What do you think of the relationship between them? But I think the time is limited. If you have any thoughts, you are welcome to put it in Zoom discussion, and or you can send me emails when you have some thoughts. I will give my email address at the last of my presentation. In my point of view, if you say the AI engaged in adoption in the translation industry will replace us human translators, I don't think so. Artificial intelligence adoption in MT tools is an important trend in the translation industry. At the moment, those tools offer raw translation. Undoubtedly, artificial intelligence allows machine translators to improve translation interactively and create special machine translations. But from my point of view, it will not impact the translation business in the near future. It may, I think its first problem is clients' confidentiality and data security concern. It may be that the texts your business needs to translate are commercially sensitive or need to remain confidential. That's why we always have to sign an NDA before providing any translation or interpreting services to our clients. Using AI doesn't ensure that information is kept confidential. If you have ever checked ChatGPT's term of service, you will find that it has a freer hand with the information than we might realize. The same goes for a translator who isn't a professional or who isn't bound by codes of conduct. Most professional translators belong to professional associations, which all have code of conduct. Part of good conduct is keeping customer information confidential. A professional translation service provider will probably mention confidentiality in their terms and conditions. One of our major clients, JPMorgan Chase, has restricted its employees to use ChatGPT system in office hours during office hours due to data security concern. The second problem of AI is accuracy. A peer colleague of mine has tested 7 machine translation tools, including the hot ChatGPT. The evaluation was about cloud computing translation. After some compares, we found that the 7 machines came up with all kinds of terms, and some sentences were translated very awkwardly. As for ChatGPT, which has been popular recently, some translation was missed. Based on multiple translations, we can see that the development of ChatGPT is immature. It cannot deal with emerging technologies translation and literature translation. For example, in the field of cloud computing translation, the machine will skip many sentences. In addition, in areas where human brains are required to intervene, machines basically do not perform well, such as marketing, branding, and other PR materials. Machines can translate the words so that you can roughly understand the meaning. But if you want to post this translation version as a promotional material, that is definitely not possible. From our current test, AI translation, such as ChatGPT, cannot replace professional translators. Instead, it can help translators in their work, like typing, drafting simple letters, kinds of entry-level basic works. I also made today's slides with the help of AI. Actually, it's hard to find a specific standard in the translation and language service industry. It's different from the chess or Go game, the programming, which have a clear role. Translation needs to deliver emotion, cultural background, warmth, and style, which can hardly be achieved by machine. Although I believe AI will get better and better. In one day, AI is much developed to replace human translators. I suppose at that time, 90% of the positions in the job market will be replaced by AI. Translating will not be the only profession to be impacted. So no need to worry so much for now. Just trying to be more professional ourselves, it will be good enough. This is an interesting picture. You can look at it. It is an answer that when we ask it, ChatGPT, and it gives us the answer. Okay. Last, I would want to say, language is a carrier of culture, and translation is to bridge the difference. And translating translations is to connect the essence. Thank you for your attention. That's all for today. If you have any questions, you're welcome to send me an email, or if you would like to find a job as part-time or full-time or freelance translator interpreters, feel free to send your cover letter and CV to hr@transinghk.com. Thank you all for today. That's all.
So, thank you so much. Sheila, for your wonderful, interesting talk. Yes, so, yes, very informative. So may I just stop sharing and then I can see whether we have some interesting questions from the chat box. So Andy, could I just close the window or stop sharing?
Yeah, because many students, especially many students, they want back.
Yes, sorry, which one should I use?
专业发题哦，对吗？对，所以他们去写下来，但是他们时间那个他们要回去考试，没关系，没关系。
Yes.
反正都会有录制。
Do we just close the? Oh, okay. So I'm so afraid that we stopped the Zoom meeting. So it's still working, right? Yes. So feel free to type your questions in the chat box, and we still have our speaker here. Yes, but so while we're still waiting for more questions coming in, may I ask you the first? Actually, I have a few on my notes. So my first question would be: so what was your motivation then? So then you decide to start a new company of translation agency, because as we might know that most of the students will say, oh, I can apply for jobs. I could choose to be a freelance translator or interpreter. So what was the motivation then? And then you decided to start a company for your employees and for your
Okay. When I was a student, when I was a student in translation department, I went to many internships in all kinds of companies. But unluckily, the translation agencies or companies that I worked for are not very professional.
Wow.
I'm unlucky. Actually, in the market, there are many professional agencies, but I didn't find it. So I think it's the main reason that I want to start up a new one with my own standard, and I can directly communicate with the interpreters or translators. So
yes.
yeah, it's a main reason. And secondly, I also met with my business partner called Sally. It's also our classmate taught by taught up both teachers.
I remember her.
Yes. Yeah, so she got the same feelings because she already have much working experience in translation industry before coming to CUHK in Chinese mainland. And she also found it's hard to find a translation agency who really want to listen to the interpreters or translators, who protects the translators. So because almost all the agencies we met, they only responsible to the clients.
Yes.
And they don't care about the translators or interpreters, or especially students.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the motivations that I want to start up.
I'm so touched that you think about the role of translators and interpreters, and you take care of them.
Yes, because we are students at that time.
Yes. So let me see. Do we still have more questions coming in? Yes. Hi, I want to know how graduates could find the first conference interpreting opportunity in Hong Kong. Yes.
Okay, this is a good question.
Yes.
You can find it on many online platforms if you really want to search it. And I already put one in my previous slide called proz.com. And you can also find the first interpreting opportunity from Translations. If you send your cover letter and CV to our HR's email, all fresh graduates are welcome.
Yes. Okay, so while we're still waiting for more questions, I do have a few. So my second question is, since you talk about ChatGPT and also AI, and I also appreciate that you said that those applications or AI or ChatGPT will not replace translators and interpreters. Yes. And my next question would be, so what kind of role does AI play in your company or in the workflow? So like what kind of machine translation apps or AI did you employ in your workflow? Could you explain a little bit?
Actually, right now, we did not adapt AI to our machine translation tools. We only use the traditional machine translation tools like ACL Trados.
Oh,
But I know some of our colleagues will use AI to draft some very basic translations.
I see.
Oh, I also made today's slides
Yes.
with the help of AI.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just put everything that I want to say and to the chat box, and then it will generate like 50% presentable presentation for me.
Wow.
Yeah, then I just need to edit it a little bit. So I think it's saved a lot of my time.
Wow, it's really time saving.
Yeah,
right?
it's very time saving. So I think
Yes.
maybe like our professors and teachers can use it
Yes.
in the future.
Yes, I also attended one online symposium.
Mhm.
They're actually the teachers are talking about using AI and ChatGPT
Mhm.
to save the time for preparation of class materials. Like
Mhm.
originally, it might take 1 to 2 hours to prepare classes, and then it only takes about 15 minutes. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I'm still, yeah, trying to.
Yeah, I also heard about it. I heard that in Hong Kong UST,
Yes.
because it put much emphasis on the technology adoption. So some professors will ask their students to write their essays using ChatGPT. And if
Yes.
you using it, and the score will be much better than before. Yeah,
Wow.
if you say yes, I wrote this,
Mhm.
I write this piece with ChatGPT, then the professor will think, oh, maybe I can give you 10 scores plus or something like that.
So honesty is the best policy, right?
I don't know because it's only in HKUST.
Yes, indeed. And my next question, no, we don't have any more, but
That's
I'll
okay.
keep asking you questions. I still have a few.
Okay,
So-
if students have questions, they can send me email actually.
Sure, yes.
Please
So
go
my
ahead.
next question would be, so I can see from your sharing,
Mhm.
you are mainly working for Hong Kong, Shenzhen, and Macau, right? The greater or Great Bay Area.
Yeah.
So I imagine students might have questions about the regions. Okay,
Mhm.
so as you can, or as you might remember, our students come from different provinces
Mhm.
in mainland China, or maybe from different countries. So
Mhm.
to be more specific, if we're talking about different regions and provinces in mainland China,
Mhm.
so do you recommend them to stay in one certain region, for example, like Greater Bay Area or Shanghai or Beijing? Which
Mhm.
area or which city do you think will have more opportunities for them to
Mhm.
find translation and interpreting opportunities? Yeah.
Oh, okay, this is a very good question.
Mm.
I talked to many professional interpreters who have been working in this industry for over 10 years. They always told me that in their first 2 or 3 years, they got to fly everywhere.
Wow.
Because when there is a meeting that hires them, they will definitely go. It's like if he or she based in Shenzhen, he or she might get opportunities in Beijing, Shanghai, and elsewhere.
Yes.
And the interpreter got to travel a lot during the first few years. But when he or she got much experience in one city, no matter wherever it is, you can also base in Yunnan.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
yeah. And you got enough clients and you got enough connections, and there are many meetings that will be held regularly, like annually or quarterly. So you got stable income, then you can stay in one place and don't need to go for so much travels. So
Right.
I think if you want to start your career as interpreter, first, of course, it's Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, or Guangzhou. But when you got enough experience, you can also live in elsewhere if you
Yes.
want.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, indeed. Especially right now, remote
Yeah,
interpreting
remote
is also a
interpreting.
format accepted.
Yeah,
Yes.
but first you need to establish your own network.
Yes, indeed,
mhm.
yes. So we're still waiting for more. And my next question would be, so it's really interesting. You talk about how to polish the resume. You share the tips
Yeah.
with our beginners or newcomers to
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
industry. So could you first share with us some of the most important things that they should put on their CV, especially if they are just newly graduate from our MA program. So what are the things that they should put as highlights in their CVs to attract maybe potential clients? Yes.
Okay, it's a very good question. I think I can figure out if the resume is from a fresh graduate, it's always an experienced interpreter because of their CVs have so much differences.
Yes.
Yes, and for fresh graduates, you always put everything on your CV, and your CV would be like 1 page or 2 page only.
Yes.
And many campus activities, but it's not relevant to translation or interpreting.
Yes.
So I think it's a waste of time for the HR to review your resume. So I think the most important part is to put your education background. And the second is your language certifications relating to the languages you want to translate. Because if you want to apply for Chinese to English or Chinese to French translation position, you don't have to write about you know a little bit about Japanese or Korean, this kind of thing. It just looks unprofessional. And the third one is your past working experience. As I mentioned before, you have to organize it in different sectors, like banking and finance, fashion, and legal or technical. So under every lines, you will have a few working experience. So it's very easy for the employers to see if you are the right fit for one position or not.
Wow, very nice. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for the question.
Yes. And I'm still waiting for questions. I hope you don't mind. I have so many questions in mind, and I would like to help my students too.
It's exciting to talk to Professor.
I really miss you because it's like 6 years ago. I taught you. Yeah, it's already 6 years. Yes. My next question. So I can see from one of the sides, it's very interesting that you are talking about workflows. So in your company, I imagine you have a wonderful team, so different people will play different roles. So I think it's the same question for the graduates. Okay, so you also talk about that if they are not so interested in doing translational interpreting, they could also do project management.
Yeah.
Okay, so could you also talk about some features? So maybe they don't know whether they could be a good project manager or not. Okay, so how can they know what kind of role is the best one for me? Should I do proofreading instead of translation and interpreting? So what are the features of different roles?
Okay. As a project manager, the most important thing is that you really liked communicating with different parts, different people, because you got to communicate the account manager, the translators, the proofreaders, sometimes the native editors, and the DTP technicians. So you got to solve many problems during the translation processes, and also you got to know how to use CAT tools. And I know that in our translation department, we got a course called CAT translation. It's very important, and you got to know how to do the terminology management. And these are the most important thing. And if you want to know if you are a good fit for this position, I think you can try to use CAT tools to manage like 1 or 2 translation projects to see if you can just like how to put one translated pieces to another one, or combine 2 translated pieces together, or if some new documents only have a few sentences to translate, can you apply the old one to the new one smoothly? And I think it's important. And then I know some companies in Hong Kong, they will hire a position called project coordinator. It's like a junior role of project manager. Yeah, when you are only a project coordinator, you will learn with a project manager. You will learn how to use CAT tools, how to communicate with different interpreters or translators, especially when there are time differences, because the translators are based everywhere in the world. Yeah, so maybe you can look for the project coordinator role to see if you are the right fit for the position. Also, I think you got to have some language skills, because sometimes when a project manager got the translation from a translator or an editor, there might be some sentences missing. Yes, of course, but the delivery time is very tight. Like you got to deliver it in 15 minutes.
Yes.
So you got no time to find a professional one to like fill in one sentence or one word. So you have to have the ability to put that one in when you find the problem.
Yes. Wow.
So I think
important.
I think it's important to have language skills, but if you don't like translate every day, it's still a good position to apply for.
Yes, and as project manager, you get the control.
Yeah, you get the control.
Yes, and then you can give orders and give comments to the translators. Yes, yes, we have one more question. So thanks for sharing. As newly graduates, we don't usually have many experience. Should we put photos of our clients in CV or mention the names of the companies we work for? Or how could we polish the limited experience more specifically? Do you have any sharing about this?
I think for fresh graduates, if you don't have much experience, just to be honest and don't like copy and paste the others' resume. It's a disaster. It would be a disaster for you to start your career. And if so, you can put your language certifications and like language grades onto the top of your resume and your graduation schools. The CUHK is a perfect university to put on your CV. Yeah. So I think just to be honest, and when you have a few experience, just explain it. What did you do? What kind of clients you talked to? What you helped your clients with, and what you have learned from that experience, and you can say a lot about it. Then just remember, there's no page limit to interpreter's CV.
Yes. So do we have more questions? I will have my last question. I hope I hope you won't think that I'm bothering you.
Okay.
So as you might know that for the past 3 years, we are experiencing the impact made by COVID-19. And you also mentioned there's a new format of remote interpreting.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious about, in the very beginning, how did your company overcome this kind of difficulty or challenges? Because from my own experience or from what I have heard from my colleagues, so some of the interpreters might just go to a hotel, just simply because of stronger internet connection in the hotels. So I wonder whether your company or your firm has set up a very special environment for interpreters to come together, do remote interpreting, or each interpreter still do their own remote interpreting at their own place. Or do you have any special setup for this kind of remote interpreting?
Yes, we have set it up a hub. We call it a remote interpreting hub in our company.
Wow.
And it's just as simple as an SI booth, and it's very quiet inside, and it's got a stable internet connection.
Very nice.
So yeah, so if we got a job that needs a remote interpreting service, and if that interpreter is in Hong Kong, that he or she can use our hub. Otherwise, we will require them to use stable connection with the internet at their home. And some of the experienced interpreter now, they got their own equipment at their home. Wow. And like a special mic, special like headphones to make sure that the interpreting quality is still at a professional level. Mhm.
Yes, very nice. So it also requires a lot of funding to build such a professional environment, like a
Yeah,
hub for interpreters. right?
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
a small hub like an SI booth, so it's
Oh, I
not,
see.
it doesn't require much spaces.
I see.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay, so Constance, do you have any further questions?
Other questions?
Yes, yes. I asked all of
Thank
the
you so
questions.
much.
Yes. So if there are no more questions, I think that, shall we call it a day?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think right here on behalf of Department of Translation, I still would like to thank you for your sharing. It's really a wonderful talk. Not only did you share your confidential information with us, especially about your firm and your translation agency, but also you share the precious tips about how to polish the resume, how to find the right jobs, how to create your own potential in becoming a professional translator and interpreter. So on behalf of the Department of Translation, I would like to thank you for your coming today. Yes.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you so much. Please join me to thank our speaker today. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.